We, depending on the amount the researcher wants to get into, we do have particular um, articles, under 20-page type articles that we recommend that have been researched here in past years. So we're glad to help connect people to those, and also with books that provide a good grounding and overview. So I often tell people start with looking through these articles and books, and then look at the bibliography and footnotes. And we should have all the things that are referenced in those if you want to then take the next step of digging further. We don't have any, as I mentioned, we don't have maps or videos or DVDs documenting the exact verified Underground Railroad, but we do have a number of clues and interesting stories and pieces that can be woven together, and are glad to assist researchers with locating those. Individuals that maybe people have heard of, we can verify facts surrounding their life, and assist them with locating locations and reference to other source materials. We have a lot of family histories in books, primarily focusing on Quaker European American families. We also have published journals and histories from the 19th century that provide kind of a context of what Quaker life was like during those times. And good descriptions also. This isn't specific to the Underground Railroad, but we do have some things that provide good descriptions of that migration or travel, or what travel was like during that time. This is even legal travel, just with a pair of Quaker ministers who were traveling from Virginia to North Carolina, or North Carolina to Indiana. And so that can give a sense of what those journeys would have been like, one way or the other, and the distances involved and what kind of resources were involved to make those journeys. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we do have the records and papers of the North Carolina Quaker meetings. We have those dating back to 1680. It includes both the kind of the local congregations as well as the statewide organization. And of interest to people working on this topic are the correspondence for the Meeting for Sufferings, which was basically the executive committee of the yearly meeting that was handling things throughout the year between the annual session meetings. And especially in the 1820s, a lot of that correspondence focuses on care and resettlement of African Americans who were legally owned by the yearly meeting, and fundraising to make sure that there were provisions to, such as coats if you're helping someone get to Indiana and things like that. So doesn't get into perhaps as much detail as we would like, but it is something that can provide clues that sometimes can be matched with civil records and other records located in other institutions. Individual names of the Quakers. For the African Americans, it's usually just first names, but there are a few lists of things that help with that. So a number of these things are priorities for providing better online access for. So we do have online access for some of Delphina Mendenhall's letters that discuss assisting African Americans that getting to freedom, crossing the lines during the Civil War. And we do have typescript and some published versions of Harriet Peck's letters. And so these materials, and we're working on a growing number of those to provide more accessible options for those, because these are useful not just for the academic scholar, but we've used selections from a number of these documents with school groups, teachers, family history groups, and so forth. So we're glad to work with people on that. But we don't have detailed, pinpointed maps or letters describing exactly how everything worked. We have things written after the fact, publications that are available through other libraries as well. But what makes us a research facility for these topics is the fact that we try to collect those publications fairly comprehensively, and then they're within that setting. of also having the Quaker records that provide that fuller context of the other anti-slavery activities that were going on in this same area. And a lot of the same people overlapping. People that were supportive of Underground Railroad are known as safe for African Americans who maybe are in danger or know of a friend or family member who is needing assistance. Could identify which Quaker families were safe to approach, and often cases that we don't necessarily know for certain if some of these individuals that were very committed to anti-slavery, if they were taking active personal involvement in the Underground Railroad, but they were at least sympathetic and were taking active roles in other community efforts that contributed to the ability for that to function.